Hello there.
Hello everybody and welcome back to the Fouch Facts YouTube channel. I'm super pumped to be bringing you this video because the Kenobi show is finally here, and boy do we have a lot to unpack. So we're going to get right to it. I'm just going to give some quick initial thoughts and then we'll get into the meat of my breakdown and review of the episode. So my first thoughts are this will begin to make things right. I'm not saying this because of my bias for the character of Obi-Wan, but words cannot express how happy I am with this show so far. Deborah Chow could not have picked a better way to start this series. From the very first scene of episode 1 to the last scene of episode 2, it was non-stop suspense and emotion. Episode 1, I would give it an 8.5 out of 10, and episode 2 gets a 10 out of 10 for me. Leia getting kidnapped is the best reason to cause Obi-Wan to leave Tatooine, but I have a hard time believing Kenobi wouldn't have someone he trusts, possibly Ahsoka or Captain Rex, watch over Luke in his absence. That's assuming if Kenobi kept in contact with those people, which he probably didn't, which is why they don't show up. Regardless, so far I'd give this series an A-. The strengths are in the central characters and Chow's understanding of them. Weaknesses are noticeable, but forgivable due to the care that this show takes to stay true to the character of Obi-Wan Kenobi. But that's enough of my initial thoughts. Let's get into my breakdown of Obi-Wan Kenobi, Episode 1. The show isn't afraid to take risks, as its opening shows the Jedi Temple the night Order 66 was executed. A group of younglings are being trained when they're ambushed by 2 clone troopers. The Master quickly dispatches the clones and tries to lead the Padawans to safety, but is ultimately gunned down by clone troopers. The younglings are able to escape and flee, and then we get the title card for Obi-Wan Kenobi. I have to say, this scene was so satisfying to see, as it gives us an extended look of the chaos that is happening in the temple that night. I wish we could have gotten more scenes like this in Revenge of the Sith, but the fact that we're getting them now is so satisfying to me. We then cut to Tatooine in the present day, 10 years after Revenge of the Sith. The Inquisitors have arrived, and we get our first look in the show at Grand Inquisitor, the 5th brother, and the new Inquisitor Reva, played by Moses Ingram. They are tracking a Jedi drifter that they have heard rumors has taken refuge on Tatooine. They are able to find and locate him, but he is able to escape because of Reva's reckless hunting tactics. Grand Inquisitor makes it very clear that he's in charge and chastises Reva for her methods and her obsession with finding Obi-Wan Kenobi and other high-profile Jedi. Reva complains that they shouldn't be wasting their time focusing on insignificant little Jedi like this one, but the Grand Inquisitor tells her she needs to forget her obsession with Kenobi unless she wants to be an Inquisitor no more. We are finally reunited with Ewan McGregor's Obi-Wan Kenobi, and man does it feel so dang good to have him back in the saddle. Obi-Wan is working as some sort of butcher, cutting meat from this big whale-looking creature in the sand. I believe it's called sashimi. Anyway, Obi-Wan kind of works for this jerk, this tyrant who bullies his other employees and everything, shorts them on their pay for the day. And you can see Obi-Wan wants to stand up for what's right and wants to stick up for the little guy, but he can't because he remembers why he's on Tatooine in the first place, to protect Luke Skywalker, and the best way to do that is to draw as little attention to himself as possible. We then get some views of Obi-Wan's daily routine, the mundane tasks, and everything that he does in his new life. We see him feeding his Eope some of that meat he was cutting from earlier, and that's pretty cool. I'm just going to say it's the same creature that he rode at the end of Revenge of the Sith when he dropped Luke off to Owen and Beru, purely for canonical continuity. Anyway, it's a nice contrast to see this kind of broken, depressed man that lives in the middle of the desert compared to what he used to be, a war hero from the days of the Republic. We're then introduced to a new character named Tika, a local Jawa that often trades parts with Obi-Wan. However, there's a joke that Tika steals parts from Obi-Wan and tries to resell them to him. We also see Obi-Wan buy a T-16 Skyhopper toy that is the same exact toy that Luke has in Episode 4. Tika and Obi-Wan then talk about the Jedi as Tika tells him about the events that happened in town earlier with the Inquisitors, and Obi-Wan remarks that the Jedi are all but extinct. After the encounter with Tika, Obi-Wan is sleeping in his cave when he begins to have nightmares, a side effect of the PTSD he undoubtedly suffers from the traumatic events he experienced at the end of Episode 3. It was awesome to see some iconic prequel moments like the Mustafar duel, Qui-Gon's death, Padme's death, different memories with Anakin from Episodes 2 and 3, and then Anakin burning at the lava bank on Mustafar. We then see Obi-Wan the next morning, watching over the Lars family homestead as he's keeping tabs on Luke Skywalker, making sure that he's staying safe. And it was just really heartwarming to see little Luke displaying some of the same characteristics that his father did at his age. Then later that night, Obi-Wan leaves the T-16 Skyhopper toy for Luke in hopes that he will find it, and on his way home, Obi-Wan is approached by a mysterious stranger from the desert that claims to recognize him as the famous Jedi Master Obi-Wan Kenobi. Obi-Wan tries to tell him that his name is Ben, he's got the wrong person, but this new character, whose name is Nari, is not having any of it and insists that Obi-Wan helps him. Obi-Wan has to get really real with Nari and say, listen man, the Jedi are done, we're dead, we're defeated, we lost the war and everything. If you want to stay safe and survive, take that lightsaber, bury it in the sand in the middle of the desert. I really love that we got this broken, depressed version of Obi-Wan because it is important to understand the mindset that Kenobi is in, the headspace that he's in at this time in the timeline. I really love the acting here, the writing, the directing, it was perfect. We are then treated to a pleasant surprise as we see a young Leia Organa growing up on Alderaan. She's supposed to be getting ready for some sort of dinner party with family later, but decides to sneak out so she can play in the forest with her droid Lola. She is then scolded by her mother, and it was just a really beautiful scene. It was beautifully written, beautifully directed, beautifully acted. The actress Vivian Lyra Blair does a phenomenal job portraying the quick-witted princess as she captures the essence of who Leia will become in the original trilogy. It's truly an emotional tribute to Carrie Fisher, and Carrie would be so proud. We go back to the planet of Tatooine as we see Obi-Wan living out his normal life. However, Kenobi is interrupted by Uncle Owen, who throws the toy Obi-Wan left for Luke back at the old Jedi. Next, we get probably one of my favorite scenes from the first two episodes as Uncle Owen, portrayed again by Joel Edgerton, tells Obi-Wan to leave Luke and his family alone. Obi-Wan insists that Luke be trained, but Owen metaphorically kicks Kenobi in the balls, asking him, like you trained his father? He tells Kenobi that Anakin is dead and he won't let Ben make the same mistake twice. I love that we're seeing this dynamic between Owen and Obi-Wan already. It helps give some origin and backstory to the way Owen feels about that crazy old wizard in A New Hope. Shortly after this confrontation, the fifth brother and Reva arrive in town demanding the location of Nari be disclosed. As one woman tries to say the Inquisitors have no authority in the Outer Rim, Reva ruthlessly cuts off the woman's hand. Fifth brother shows his disdain for Reva's brutal tactics, but Reva continues in her theatrics. Noticing that Uncle Owen seems to have something to hide, she threatens him and the townsfolk. Reva says that unless Nari is revealed, Owen and his family will die. Just as it seems that Obi-Wan is about to intervene, Fifth Brother stops Reva from going any further, and the two kind of have it out in a nearby alley. Fifth Brother criticizes Reva for her reckless ambition and correctly guesses she still is obsessed with finding Obi-Wan. Reva claps back at the Fifth Brother, telling him she will do whatever it takes to get what she is owed. As the Inquisitors leave Tatooine, Obi-Wan thanks Owen for not exposing him, but Owen tells Kenobi he didn't do it for him. Back on Alderaan, the Organas greet the family who are in town for the cocktail party, or whatever the get-together is. We get our first glimpse of Jimmy Smits as Bail Organa again since we last saw him, chronologically speaking, in Revenge of the Sith. I just want to say really quick, Jimmy Smits absolutely killed every scene that he was in, but more on that later. At the cocktail party, Leia is teased and bullied by her older cousin who tells her she's not a true Organa, but Leia sees right through this facade, and I think this is a small little indication of Leia's Force sensitivity. It's almost as if she peers into the thoughts and mind of this piece of Bantha Poodoo and exposes him for who he truly is. Classic Leia. Love to see it. Also, fun little Easter egg in this scene, if you pay attention in the background you can see C-3PO in a blink and you'll miss it cameo. Awesome stuff. Later on, after the dinner party, we get a scene between Bail and Leia where Bail is trying to convince his daughter to apologize to her cousin, but Leia doesn't want to because her cousin's a big fat turd. She tells Bail that she's not a true Organa, and Bail, in a beautiful, heartwarming scene, tells Leia that she is an Organa in every way. Jimmy Smits absolutely killed it in this scene, as he did in pretty much every scene that he's in this show. I'm so glad they brought him back for this role. It was a really, really nice touch. Bail is able to convince Leia to apologize to her cousin, but being the stubborn little princess she is, Leia decides to run off to the forest to go play. In this next scene, look at R2-D2 in the bottom right corner of the screen. Cool little Easter egg. After Bail learns that Leia has escaped again, he sends a security team to go after her to bring her home. However, to everyone's surprise, a group of thugs have been sent to Alderaan to kidnap Leia. When Leia runs into these strangers in the forest, she knows something is off and runs away from them, but after a short little chase sequence, they eventually catch up to her, capture her, and take her off planet. Out of concern for their daughter's safety, Bail and his wife contact Obi-Wan in a desperate plea to get the old Jedi Master to help rescue Leia. But Obi-Wan, in a moment of brokenness, refuses the Organas, telling them that he is no longer the man they remember him to be. He is a Jedi no more, he has abandoned that life, and it's really awesome that we get this scene because it shows how devoted Obi-Wan is to protecting Luke. He will not leave Tatooine under any circumstance. But Bail is not satisfied with this answer, so he actually goes to Tatooine physically to plead with Obi-Wan again. It's a really emotional scene, and it's beautifully acted by Ewan McGregor and Jimmy Smits. But Bail gives Obi-Wan some hard truths. He tells him that it has nothing to do with the boy, Luke, and everything to do with Anakin, or rather Obi-Wan's failure of Anakin. This is true to the heart of Kenobi's depression. He cannot forgive himself for failing Anakin, and in failing his apprentice, Obi-Wan basically failed the whole galaxy. The weight of that failure lays heavy on Obi-Wan's shoulders. I love that we got to see this side of Obi-Wan. It really gives the character so much more depth. It becomes quite clear that the purpose of this series is to show us Obi-Wan learning how to reconcile his past and forgive himself. I can't wait to see where this journey of healing takes Obi-Wan. Eventually, Kenobi comes to his senses and agrees to help find Leia. He goes out into the desert and digs up an old box that holds Anakin and Obi-Wan's old lightsabers. Obi-Wan grabs his weapon and takes it with him, becoming a Jedi once more, not only to save Leia, but also save himself. So that does it, guys. That's my breakdown for Obi-Wan Kenobi Episode 1. I'll just leave you with a few closing remarks. All in all, I love this first episode. It was great to see Ewan back in this role, as it was a breath of nostalgic fresh air to prequel fans everywhere. This show feels right. It feels like Star Wars. I feel like I'm 10 years old again watching Episode 3 in the theater for the first time. I have to give this episode an 8.5 out of 10. I thoroughly enjoyed it and was entertained by most of the episode. My favorite scenes were, of course, the Order 66 scene, Obi-Wan's nightmares, and the scene between Uncle Owen and Kenobi. However, one thing I don't like about this episode is the fact that Obi-Wan leaves Tatooine. Now, I will say going on a mission to rescue Leia is a really good reason for Obi-Wan to leave, but it still feels a little bit wrong. I think this is because Obi-Wan doesn't have anybody watch over Luke in his absence. It would have been so cool if Ahsoka or Captain Rex would have shown up to watch over Luke while Obi-Wan was gone. But Obi-Wan's been isolated for all this time, so he has no idea that Ahsoka and Rex are still out there, so it makes sense that Obi-Wan doesn't have anybody watch over Luke, but at the same time, it doesn't make sense. I just have a really hard time believing Obi-Wan would leave Luke for any reason unprotected. And it's for this reason that this episode doesn't score higher with me. However, I'm willing to look past this discrepancy, as everything else was so well put together by Deborah Chow, the cast, and the crew. They really hit it out of the park with this one. So that does it for today's video. If you liked it, give me a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell so you'll be notified every time I drop a new video. I will be pumping out a lot of them now that the Obi-Wan show is finally here, so be expecting episode 2's breakdown coming to you probably within the next day or so, and comment below what your favorite part about episode 1 was. I will see you in the next one, guys. May the Force be with you.